Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today I'm unboxing PSB's brand new and most expensive, highest performing subwoofer they have ever released to market, the BP12. It's two drivers, BP bipolar. Both of them are 12-inch. They're reinforced with a 500 watt amplifier per driver with 1,000 watts of power available on board, peaking at least double that, delivering a 2,000 watt amplification on board. The Class D amplification, already renowned for its dampening factor, is designed to control these drivers beyond anything. Then they reinforce that with some amazing DSP and a setup app enabling you to tune that from your seated position. It's astonishing. It's huge. The magnets are something like 20 kilos each. Steel baskets, massive voice coils, 3-4 inch voice coils, everything is so over-engineered. This subwoofer will sit there and purr gently in the corner, or it will produce thunderous bass effortlessly. So, let's have a look. Right, the reason we're back here is it's huge and it's extremely heavy. You can see from the physics of this box, there are plastic bands around it to ensure that it is delivered to you. However, don't make the mistake we did when carrying it around and try and lift it from the plastic bands, because you'll end up cutting into the box. No problem, no harm done. But as I spin it round, you will see that there is scannable information associated with the model and serial number. Okay. Basic information as far as freight and cubics and other things along those lines. And all of these big plastic bands holding the box together, allowing us to freight it around the place. So the very first thing we're going to do is just get rid of the plastic band. Okay? If there is banding beneath something that you are opening, then the easiest is to ensure that whatever is used to join the banding it becomes the handle that you use to pull the banding out. Now, the unit has numerous printing on it associated with its model and information. So you've got the SubSeries BP12 bipolar subwoofer, a few other languages, obviously the PSB logo. And you see that repeated on a lot of sides. Proudly made in, probably designed in Canada, probably made in China. Worth mentioning that the handle holds have little foam things in them, and then gives you really good access for you and a friend to be able to move this around. And I do recommend that. This is a two-person lift. It's a 60 kilo subwoofer. Okay. The other handle's on the other side. Again, just get rid of that foam. It exposes the handles, makes it really easy to get it up and down a set of stairs. Now, opening this is relatively tricky. Anything of this size means that you have to be extremely careful that you're sort of nursing it out of the box, not just lifting it. So there's a little bit of preparation that needs to be done to ensure you can gain access to it. You'll see weirdly along one side, and this is the side of the subwoofer, not the top, that it has these sort of plastic flaps. Continuing along with that trend, we're going to slice all of the packing tape, clear packing tape, evenly across the sides and across the back, to ensure that we can easily gain access to all of the packaging, or remove easily the packaging, so that we can gain access to the subwoofer at the side. So, holding that. Now, if you're doing this by yourself, which is probably, let's be honest, you're going to find a friend to help you here. If you're doing that, then this becomes the base as far as being able to slip the unit out. It's got some very useful handles in the side, and typically you would take two people to drag this thing out. I'm going to try and do it on my own. You'll notice that what I've done, of course, is I've used my knee to hold the box and stop it from sliding, and then drag this behemoth out of its shipping box. Now, I'll just pull this off to one side. It's worth noting the care and attention. You can see those little pockets that they've added there. There we go. And that huge box, and just off it goes. Right. We're still dealing with a very, very large inner box, but you can see at a glance as I bring this into frame that they've done a huge and elaborate amount of work to ensure that the product will be well secured in freight. These cardboard uprights support the top and the bottom and leave lots of impact protection for some of those disastrous freight instances that can occur. Right, now try and lift this forward. If I can just rotate that part off and get rid of it. What we see on the top is the accessories that PSB have added. In the box, very straightforward to open, we see two useless power cables for me, one being, doesn't matter actually, useless power cables. However, I was sent separately a New Zealand IEC power cord. Now, it's also a double back power cord, giving a slight advantage that if you're plugging this into other things, you know immediately that you are sharing the same common earth, which is kind of important for subwoofers because they could potentially hum, although that's pretty straightforward to resolve nowadays. Right, then we see in the accessory box, as I get rid of the bit of information about warranty, product contact address, powered subwoofers. Oh look, in there is just some basic setup and placement and things along those lines, nothing too serious. And then a quick start guide for the subwoofer. Worth mentioning, this has a PSB setup app. Uses Bluetooth to do so. It's very, very straightforward. It's free to download. You can get on your cell phone or your iPad. Obviously iOS or Android. Really, really easy. That quick startup guide gives you how to plug it in, whether or not you're running left and right. It's got balanced and single-ended, all of those things. Okay, massive closed cell foam holding everything in place, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 of the corners. Now this doesn't easily fold apart, although you can as far as the process of things, but what I'm going to recommend is that you just sort of, the strapping's done its job, and let's look to the classic way of unboxing things that are bigger and heavier than you are by simply doing the rolling approach as far as it's unboxed. So we're going to take the packaging, the bag and the protective soft cloth bag, and slide everything and then carefully roll. Now you can see the unit itself leaves behind the packaging, which is kind of useful. Okay, so we've got the two straps, 1, 2, and then the base, which is equally cut out for the subwoofer's feet. Right, very carefully, and this is where you need to acknowledge that a soft carpeted floor is probably the best approach for this, is that the bag comes off, noting there's a couple of desiccant bags in there to keep this fresh in transit, and then the second soft cloth bag is removed. Now, carefully, right, spinning it around. This is upside down and I want to pause for a moment. PSB logo, right? The reason I want to pause is that PSB, with some of the very high-end speakers that they produce, and now their subwoofers, have invested in isoacoustic isolation feet. These are semi-recessed in the subwoofer, showing a design collaboration between PSB and isoacoustics, ensuring that these feet are brilliantly compact as far as they're not very tall, and easily adds a performance advantage to the subwoofer. Being bipolar, so two woofers running opposite each other, there's minimal vibration. In fact, realistically, the cabinet vibration is eliminated, and so these are designed to isolate the environment that it's sitting on, and it does a brilliant job. Nevertheless, very, very carefully rolling it over and having a look, and then working it carefully around. Dust that off. Now, as soon as it's this way up, the feet do their job and start to sort of grip the surface that they're on. So be careful and be mindful of that when you're moving it. Sort of that rock and turn approach is probably the best. Nevertheless, we see a relatively boring front, okay? Just the PSB logo protected with a little wee plastic stick-on. The box itself is essentially a cube, and again it's 60 kilos. So this thing is not difficult for me to move around. There are two colorways with this being their sort of black, but it's sort of a very, very dark charcoal grey with a lovely inflection in the finish. So please, as always, hang around for the photographs. I'll show you the close-ups. Spinning it around carefully to one side, we see one of the carbon fibre drive units and a huge annulus. So the surround around this driver is designed to give you a huge amount of excursion and movement. The driver is stiff yet light, again reinforced with a huge voice coil, 3 or 4 inches, and a massive magnet and steel basket supporting everything. The annulus is stiff but easy as far as the control that the amplification exerts to get the most out of it. There's a little protective sticker around the edge, revealing a small design element, which is that sort of bezeled edge and a nice little silver trim. It's a lovely little design. You will see that sort of thing in some of the new floor standing speakers from PSB, so it's nice to see that design element reinforced in some of the other products that they do. The other side's identical, so we won't pause too much, and if you need to, you can hang around and we can check that out later. Right. Looking at the back, this is where we see it so well appointed. So firstly, we've got the boring stuff, which is a big high current rocker switch and an IEC 3-pin earthed power socket. Beneath it is a fuse. So it's fused in design, and of course if you start blowing fuses, something's going wrong. Nevertheless, above that, some compliance associated with European Union compliance and electrical safety compliances. We've got a few cautions and other things along those lines. Now it's worth mentioning the entire back is also the subwoofer's heat sink. Nevertheless, serial number and other compliance and scannable information. We've got the PSB logo, the Canadian flag, web address as far as the subwoofer PSB speakers that is, and the SubSeries BP12 subwoofer. Then we look above that and we see a series of inputs and outputs. The first is a 5 volt, and that is designed to provide power up to 1 amp for a wireless receiver kit of some kind, which are proving to be kind of popular. However, if you're investing in something at this end of the market, it is implying a dedicated space, and with that you're probably going to not run this wirelessly. Nevertheless, beside that we've got a 12 volt trigger. Now it will actually support between 9 and 30 volts as far as the ability to control this on and off, so that with the receiver or stereo amplifier, when it is on, the subwoofer is on and forced on. Beside that we have a pairing button. Now that is for the setup app. Now again, hang around for the photographs. I'll dive into the setup app with you and we'll show you some of the basic parameters it can achieve. Then we see a left and right or LFE input. So the left is clearly an alternative input for the low frequency effect associated with home theatre, and if you're running this from a stereo preamp or other setup, you would run the left and right simultaneously. Beside that, we see an auto, trigger or on for the standby. Now auto means that when it senses a signal it will turn on, and when a signal is not sensed for a prolonged period of time it'll put itself into standby. There's an LED that will let you know that as well. In trigger, it forces it to look only at the trigger and will not turn itself off if left with no signal for a long period of time. And then the next is on, which means it is always on, ensuring that it won't snap loudly into operation during a dynamic passage perhaps. Again, the back panel is their heatsink. Again, it's 2 by 500 watts, so each of those amplification stages is dedicated to one of the drive units. It runs some of the most impressive DSP on board to ensure that those woofers are kept under control, and being a sealed box has eliminated any of the issues associated with port noise and port chuffing. The design means it can deliver prestigious bass when required, or again just sit there and tick over to reinforce those bass passages with some of the very complex sounds like kettle drums, organs, all of those types of ultra low frequencies. So to be able to grip them, keep them under control is utterly vital. So there we have it. PSB's brand new dual 12-inch subwoofer, their BP12 subwoofer, unboxed here at the Listening Post in Christchurch, New Zealand.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.